Yes, thank you so much for joining me today. I am Meah Denee from The Real Effect. You are like, I'm really excited to interview you. I really
Yay.
enjoyed your movie that you have out currently. But let me give you a intro. Let me do it right.
Okay.
So you are a singer and actress. Many people may have seen you performing on Broadway in The Color Purple, Dreamgirls, Hairspray. They also may know you from one of your most recent movies on Lifetime, The Clark Sisters. Also, most recently, you've done Lifetime's movies, Kirk Franklin's A Gospel Christmas. And I'm
Yes.
excited to talk about that today. But before we get into that, I like to start off kind of with like an icebreaker question. So I would love to know if you were to give a legend their roses today, do like a tribute to them, what song would you sing and who would you perform it to?
Oh, it would definitely be Shaka Khan for me.
Mm,
She is my idol when it comes to singing, and not just her voice, but her style, her freedom as a vocalist, the funkiness.
mhm.
She's a drummer. I'm a drummer. So I probably would sing. It's so tough. She has such a great catalog. I probably would do. Gosh, that's a tough one. Maybe Sweet Thing, just because
Okay.
the words, even though that, that's probably the one everybody knows, and I like all her deep cuts. But I would sing Sweet Thing to Yvette Stevens.
Okay. I do enjoy Shaka Khan myself. She's definitely an idol for me as well. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, thanks for asking. That's such a cool question.
Yeah, try to spice it up a little bit. But I know you started off in singing in the choir. You're from Detroit. And was musical theater like always a goal for you, or how did that, that dream and that goal develop for you?
Well, musical theater, I found it as a teenager, but I really didn't dig into it until probably my college years. Growing up in the church, especially growing up in an urban city like Detroit, you don't really, musical theater is not something that you would be exposed to necessarily. I wasn't. And when I was 14, I did my first professional musical theater job. And that was kind of where I discovered, wait, you can marry singing and acting together and like
Mhm.
tell a story. And ever since then, it piqued my interest. But I studied music and voice specifically. So I kind of left musical theater to the side for a little while. And then when I got in college and my freshman year, we went to New York. I went to school in Kentucky, and we came to New York to see a Broadway show. And I saw The Lion King. And it
Mhm.
was in its first year. My freshman year in college was the year it opened on Broadway. And I remember just sitting in there and being like, oh, what is this?
Speechless.
I couldn't believe it. I mean, and then for the Lion King to be the first thing you see, to be introduced to what Broadway even is was a lot.
Mhm.
And ever since then, I just fell in love with it. I wanted to know about any and every show. Who are the people? What are the shows? And it just kind of took off from there.
Nice. And it's funny you say that was your first show, because actually the first Broadway show I went to was The Color Purple. And yeah,
Wow.
it was so amazing. It was like such a spiritual experience, just like the singing, and like it just pulled me in such a beautiful way. I was just like blown away. I think, when was this? This was maybe like 5 years ago.
So was
Um,
this the first Color Purple or the revival?
it was the revival.
Also,
Yeah.
our show. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
which is so
Wow.
crazy, right? Like,
Wow. I wonder if I was a swing with the show. So it depends when you saw it. If you saw me, I did coverage for when the church ladies were out. I covered all those ladies.
okay, okay. But I would love to know, how did you, make it to Broadway? Because I believe that was one of your first Broadway shows that you were in. So how did that experience and that opportunity come?
Yeah. Well, that was my first and only Broadway show. There will be more, but television seems to be kind of pulling me over here. So I'm going with it. But yeah, I moved to New York in 2006, and I have such a unconventional story because I didn't go to, acting school. I didn't, submerge myself. I literally moved to New York with a few $100, clothes, and somebody saying I could sleep on their couch. Had no clue what I was doing at auditions. I had one song that I sang at everything for a good year before I realized, you cannot sing this for every audition. But that was my start. And 10 years later, it took me 10 years. But I booked The Color Purple, and I didn't book it originally. I didn't even go in. I wasn't even able to go in for it when they first started casting it. And, things just kind of shook down, and they were needing a female swing, which for people who don't know what a swing is, it's basically an understudy, but instead of covering one person, you cover multiple people. And word had got out that, they were looking for a female swing to cover people so people could start taking vacation. And I was on a short list just because of relationships and, being in the business all these years, and went in, auditioned, made it down to the final 2 girls. And she's a good friend of mine, and, either one of us would have been perfect for it. And I was actually prepared. The next day I was preparing for a callback for a TV thing, and got the call from my agent that I booked it. And I was stunned because, when you at it this long, and, and I started later, I had a whole nother profession before I moved to New York. So to be at it as long, and then to that show to be the way I was going to make my debut, and, most of the cast I knew, or we worked in shows together before, or, they're friends of mine. It just was, I don't know that anything will top that. It was surreal to step on that stage, and take it all in, and have the cast be so excited for me and supportive. And I was so nervous, but that was, my way into Broadway with that. And then I did the first national of it as well. So that was pretty cool.
That's amazing. That's such an amazing journey. And I feel like so many people's journey starts off like that. Like,
yeah,
I just had a hope, a dream. I just went to New York and I grinded it, and I made it happen.
Truly did. That was, something in me knew I could do it. I knew that I had what it took. Maybe I didn't know the intricacies of it and how you're supposed to do things, but I knew if I'm given the opportunity on the right thing, I can do it. And it happens with God's, blessing and favor. It happened.
Well, luckily it didn't. I'm assuming it didn't take another 10 years for you to get to the Clark sisters.
No. No, thank God.
Thankfully, you didn't have to wait that long, because, your performance was amazing. You played Jackie, and I would love to know, what were kind of like, what was the connection? Like, did you feel instantly prepared for this role? Did you feel like you instantly connected to the character Jackie? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yes, to all of the above. When I found out that this project had wheels and was, kind of looking like it was going to happen, something in me, and I don't know that I've ever felt as sure about a project as I did this one. But something in me just knew somehow I was going to be connected to or involved in doing it, because there were too many things that said, this is perfect for you. I'm from Detroit. I grew up in the Pentecostal church. I have all sisters. I'm the oldest of all my sisters. Jackie's the oldest of her sisters. We all sing together. We sang tons of their songs because we sang in church, I definitely have sang in front of all of the sisters at some point in my younger years. Had met Karen before, Dorinda, Twinkie, all of them. And I just knew, I don't know where in it, but I knew that, if I got the opportunity, I'm doing this. And when I got the material, because originally, I auditioned for 3 of the sisters, actually. Twinkie was first.
Okay.
And I felt really connected to her and her material. But they liked what I did, but they said, we really love her. We can't figure out where to put her. So let's see her do the Denise material. And so they sent it to me, but they also sent Jackie. So I called my agent. I said, they sent Denise and Jackie, and my phone conversation with the director, Miss Christine Swanson, who, you know, led the charge with the project. I said, I don't know if this is a mistake. He said, well, they sent it, so they must want you to put it on tape. So I put it on tape. And after a few weeks of nail biting, they called and, you know, said they wanted to offer me Jackie. And I knew, I was sure that it was the right sister. But when I met with Jackie about a month later, we sat down and we talked. I said, oh, I'm the perfect person to play her. Like our humor is very similar. We actually even look alike. I never even thought we favored each other, but talking to her and just hearing her story about being an oldest sibling and just growing up in the church and being that person that kind of is the glue that holds everybody together. And I connected so naturally to that. I was like, oh, this is easy. I just need the script and jot down what I need to jot down to build Jackie's character. But she made it super easy because she's so easy to talk to, and she's not afraid to share. So it was great for an actor to, when you're playing somebody, to have the actual person that you can talk to and hear, you know, subtext that you aren't going to get in a script. You're only going to get from that person. So it was kind of a match made in heaven from the beginning, for
That's
sure.
beautiful. It was destiny.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
So you sold your catalog for this Lincoln parked out front? I deserve a nice car. Mama.
Give me a contract.
You see that? That's why I got a nursing job. So no matter what kind of foolishness happened with y'all, I can get up in the morning, go to work, and still get a check. Messing around with Twinkie.
I guess even with hit records, we're gonna continue to be broke.
We gonna be on the road forever. They're my songs, y'all. I wrote them.
And so it's interesting because Jackie, I feel like, definitely was more of a serious role compared to this role that you have with Kirk Franklin's A Gospel Christmas, which me and my mom watched it and she had already seen it and she was like, oh yeah, I'll watch it again. It's like my third, fourth time watching it. I was like, okay, Mom. And she was like, she loved it and I loved it. And it really, to me, it connected to me because I felt like the story was just so different than what I'm used to seeing when it comes to gospel stories. In the sense of the main character, Demetria, you know, it was about her and her becoming a pastor instead of us normally seeing like the son taking over as pastor, or like the pastor dealing with something difficult. And I really appreciated that. And so I would love to know from you, what was it about this movie that you took away? I'm so sorry. I'm all over the place with my words.
It's okay.
What was it that you like took away from this movie and that you would love others to take away from the movie as well?
Well, so many things, but probably the thing that struck me first when I got the script and knew I was going to be doing it was how much female leadership was involved in the story. Kind of like you said, we even though in real life we do see female pastors and women in leadership, but this was special because all along the story, her mom is a, you know, pastor and she passes the mantle to her. And then you get to the church and a lot of the women that are, you know, on the board or, you know, help out at the church or are in the town, they're all Black women. They own, you know, a real estate place, or my character owns a diner, you know, and it was really cool. I was glad that my character was on Team Olivia's side because, you know, a lot of, you know, if you saw people that saw the movie know she had some challenges. Everybody was not, you know, rah rah sis boom bah. But it was really nice to see not only female leadership, but seeing how we as Black women process through challenges, how we just keep overcoming. We keep saying, okay, I hit a wall, but if I can't go over it, I'll go around it. You know, I'll find a way. But additionally, what I really loved, and I have to give props to Erica Sunderland, who is our director, and our executive producer, Tracy Twinkie Bird, who made sure that our culture was represented as much as possible in the film. There's Black art done by, you know, Black artists, up and coming artists, established artists. There's Black authors. Books that are featured in the film are Black authors. We got to see kente cloth. We got to see, you know, things that were Black. Like I'm really excited that Lifetime was very open to like, y'all do you. So it wasn't like this whitewashed Christmas. It was Jesus. It was gospel music. It was African, you know, traditions and fabrics and all these things. And you see a family, like a girl with a mother and a father. And, you know, there was no like drama. And then the cherry on top is to have classic music by, you know, one of our, you know, music industry's legends. You know, he's a 16-time Grammy Award winner, and he's always kept his message consistent. So to be able to use his music and we didn't have to like change words or, you know, not say Jesus, it was really nice. Like, even if you're not a religious person or a staunch Christian, I think you can appreciate that a channel that does not traditionally have programming that centers the Black experience, that they literally went all out and said, go for it, you know. And I was very, very proud to be a part of that project, as opposed to being a Black woman in someone else's story that has to just be the Black girl, you know, or the Black woman. It's really nice to have it be all about us, and us like really how we are, not some like fake made up way to depict Black people and Black people around the holidays on television.
Yeah, I agree with all that. All of that. I saw it all in the movie, even that final performance scene with all of the, you know, what everyone was wearing was just like very powerful in itself.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, because it was also giving me very like Sister Act vibes. So I would love to know kind of just what that experience was like, you know, practicing the music, the songs, you know, how I know Kirk Franklin was involved, but like how involved was he, and how much were you involved in being able to like bring your own personality to your character Stella?
Yeah, well, Kirk, he touched base with everyone that was going to be singing in the room to discuss, you know, our range and, you know, what we feel comfortable with, and his thoughts and his plans as he was arranging the music. Because, you know, this album was, this is music from his, I think, 1995 Christmas album. So that's a long time ago to us who came up with that record. We don't think about it like that. We just think, oh, it's Kirk Franklin, it's classic, but that's, you know, that's kind of dated now. I mean, it's classic, but I'm sure as a composer, he's like, oh, I gotta make this thing sound,
change the sound, a little bit.
And I'm putting it in film. This is not a choir that I'm setting this stuff on per se. But Kirk was very, very thoughtful and kind in terms of making sure we felt comfortable with what we were singing, and, you know, knew where we were going. So when we got into production, because we wouldn't have a lot of time, that we could just get in and bang it out. And that's what happened. We went in the studio. Kirk was with us virtually, and just kind of guided us, directed us at how he wanted to hear the things. And he was really big on, I want to be able to visually see the story when I hear you sing, you know, or I hear you, or you know, as we're going through these songs. And I really enjoyed how you kind of got to see the progression of the church choir in the movie. Even for me, I think I've gotten the most feedback from the song that I had to like not really be a good singer, because we had to like grow into being, you know, this fantastic choir that everybody, you know, knew them for. And that was a little bit of a challenge. It was fun, funny, but kind of challenging. Like, oh God, like this
to not weird. Actually sing well when you know how to sing.
Yeah. But then it brought it all home when we got to sing like the really heartfelt things. And I was just very fortunate that, you know, my role in the movie got to do a lot of that, you know, shifting, transitioning, progressing the story along, encouraging Olivia, bringing us all into a mindset of, you know, the duet I do with Chaz, who plays Ashton in the movie, that sit around a piano at the Christmas party. That's such like that's what we do, you know, and to be a part of those moments was really, really cool, especially since a lot of folks who now have gotten to know me, they met me from the Clark sisters, and a lot of people think, oh, she's, you know, an actress that like sings enough, but it's like, no, I'm
Nope.
actually the other way around, so it was nice to get to reintroduce myself to people who started watching the Clark Sisters or started following me or seeing what I'm up to. It was really cool to be able to do that with this music.
So with our voices lifted high, and praise and reaches to the sky. Jesus, you're the reason why there's no Christmas without you. Ooh, there's no Christmas without you.
Y'all better sing, okay?
I would love to know what is next for you. Like, what can we expect in January next year? Are you going to be on stage again? Are you going to be on more movies?
Well, right now I'm just finishing up some concert performances for the holidays, and I'll be at the Kennedy Center at the end of the year, just doing a jam at a free event that the Kennedy Center puts on. But after that, I'm going to take some much needed rest. Now I'm saying that, and every time I say that, then my schedule gets crazy. But hopefully I will get a chance to rest. I do have a big project that's coming up in the spring, but I don't think I can say it yet. But I can say that the role that it's a theater project, and the role that I'll be in, a Black person has never played it. So this should be interesting. But otherwise, I'm always somewhere with a mic in my hand. So I'll be somewhere in the New York area, probably singing or auditioning like all of us actors do. But first, I'm going to do some radical self-care and rest and make my yeses very
Strong.
selective.
Yeah.
And my nose even stronger.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you talking to me, and I'm really looking forward to just seeing more of you on stage and in front of the camera. Your voice is just so beautiful and so gifted. And so
Thank you so much.
Of course. So best of luck in 2022. I know it's going to be a blessed year. And thank you again.